Good evening, BookTube, YouTube. This is Johnny. It's been a couple of days since I made a video. It is 6:28 in the evening here in Southwest Michigan. It is July the 5th, 2024. It is a Friday. This is a Friday Reads. I thought about doing a used book haul. I thought about doing a shelf tour, but I'm kind of tired. As you know from my recent videos, we had our children visiting us with their families. Today, our son Josiah and his wife Hannah and our two granddaughters Marika and Lydia are flying out back to Washington State where they live, and then last Sunday, our daughter left with her family. Andy, her husband, Louisa, Margaret, Jack, and little Nora Jean drove. They drove from Denver to here to Holland, and they drove back. Decided to do it in 2 days. So it's been a very busy 10 days, but it was really a blessing to see our children and our grandchildren and spend time with them, talking and eating and just hanging out together. But I do read. I never stop reading. Now, my wife and I had our devotional life kind of disrupted, so we have been able to read in the mornings because we had to feed people meals, and so, but we did have devotions at night, reading through a devotional book on the Psalms and then closing the day in prayer. And we do try to pray in the mornings if we can't read the New Testament or devotional book. But always live a life of unceasing prayer. So this is Friday Reads. And so what I've been reading when I'm not falling asleep or something's going on the last 10 days, I've been reading, I think I might have showed this. This is The Gaudy by J.I.M. Stewart, and this is the first novel in Stewart's superbly entertaining Oxford Quintet, which means there's 5 of these, and I found all 5 of them at a local thrift store a week ago, 2 weeks ago. So I started reading the first one, and I'm almost done. That's my bookmarker. And I'm not sure if I'll read a second one right now. I have other things I might want to get back into now that things are going to start getting back to normal. But I've been reading this probably in the evenings. I should show I've been reading in the mornings. I'm still reading in the mornings for, as you all know, as my habit as a Christian bookworm. I've been reading still. I haven't really read this a couple of days, but Predestination, an early modern Reformed theology by Richard A. Muller. I'm still reading that. And I try to read in the mornings before it gets too hectic around here. From Heaven He Came and Sought Her, Definitive Atonement, Historical, Biblical, Theological, and Pastoral Perspectives, edited by David Gibson and Jonathan Gibson. I've been reading, I start reading one, chapter 7, essay, Controversy on Universal Grace. So I've been reading that. This one came out in 2013, this one. And then they came out recently with the one on total depravity, the Doctrines of Grace. They're going to do other ones in the series. I think future titles, Chosen Not for Good in Me, probably it's on divine election. Then shun your glorious, probably it's on irresistible grace. Safe in the Arms of Sovereign Love is probably on the doctrine of perseverance of the saints. But this one's on total depravity. It just came out. It came out 2024. It's on ruined sinners to reclaim sin and depravity in historical, biblical, theological, and pastoral perspective. Edited by David Gibson and Jonathan Gibson. So I've been reading. So I read one morning, and then the next morning I read another one if been possible. I've been reading here chapter 11, The Folly, Mystery, and Absurdity of Sin in Wisdom Literature by Stephen M. Coleman. And I've still been reading the Reformation commentary on Isaiah. This is Old Testament 10a. They're going to probably do the second volume, and this would be rest of Isaiah, which would be Isaiah 40 to 66. But this is from Isaiah chapter 1 to 39. And I'm on chapter 11, which is a very famous chapter. It says, I can get my glasses here. And there shall come forth a shoot from this is Isaiah chapter 11, verse 1. The shoot from Jesse. There shall come forth a shoot from the stump of Jesse. A branch from his roots shall bear fruit, and the Spirit of the Lord shall rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom, understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and the fear of the Lord. And his delight shall be in the fear of the Lord. And he shall not judge by what his eyes see, or decide disputes by what his ears hear, but with righteousness he shall judge the poor, and decide with equity for the meek of the earth. And he shall strike the earth with the rod of his mouth, and the breath of his lips shall kill the wicked. Righteousness shall be the belt of his waist, and faithfulness the belt of his loins. The wolf shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the young goat, and the calf and the lion and the fatted calf together, and the little child shall lead them. The cow and the bear shall graze, the young shall lie down together, the lion shall eat straw like the ox, the nursing child shall play over the hole of the cobra, the weaned child shall put his hand on the adder's den. They shall not hurt or destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth shall be full of the knowledge of the Lord, as the waters cover the sea. That's down to verse 9. So it's a very famous chapter in Isaiah, and I've been reading it slowly, meditating upon it in the mornings, Isaiah chapter 11. Also rereading The Christian Worldview by Herman Bavinck. I have a book coming out by the nephew of Herman Bavinck, Personality and Worldview, coming in the mail. So I've been reading that in the morning, writing in my diary. I started July 2024. Today I ended on page 571 for the year 2024. So that's my July. Diary. As you know, the first one is from July the 1st to the 16th, and then the second folder is from July the 16th to the 31st. So I write in my diary throughout the day, when I'm reading, when I'm just sitting in my study or down in the lower level library. And yeah, so I've been reading those in the mornings for devotions when possible. And then, as I said, I've been reading the Gaudy by J.I.M. Stewart. And then I told you I got back into reading the Glastonbury romance. I read this at night before I go to bed. I've read 541 pages. It's 1,120 pages. Really enjoying this, and I will try to keep reading it. And then I picked up at a thrift store this week, Mishma Yukara, Yukai, was it Yukami Mishma Sin and Steel. This is his little memoir. I collect Mishma's writings. I found this at a Goodwill. So I've been reading this in the afternoons. I read this this week in the light of the July 4th Holy Americana Day, as we as Americans celebrate war. So I thought I'd read Crazy Iris, The Other Stories, The Atomic Aftermath, edited with introduction by Kenzaburo. I can't pronounce the name. He edited this. These are stories translated from the Japanese, and all the stories centered around witnessing the bombing of Hiroshima and the aftermath of the dropping of the atomic bomb. So I've been reading. I read this yesterday. I read 3 stories out of this as my way to celebrate, to acknowledge the 4th of July. And then I still got back into reading Black Mass-Apocalyptic Religion and the Death of Utopia by John Gray. Really, this is a great book to read, especially in light of what's going on in our world, in the Middle East. Great Britain just had their elections. The Labour Party swept after 20 years of being under the Conservative Party. And so he goes into politics back there in the 80s. But he also, the chapter I found interesting in here I just read was the origins of the neoconservatism, which is really interesting. And then he had From Puritan Colony to Redeemer Nation, the Americanization of Apocalypse, chapter 4. Really a great book to read, especially in light of what's going on with the Republican Party, neoconservatism, white nationalism, what's going on in Israel and Hamas, what's going on in Russia and China and the Middle East. It's a really good book to read in light of that. And still reading Straw Dogs, Thoughts on Humans and Other Animals. So I kind of read these things in the afternoons when possible. And yeah, that's what I've been reading. I got books coming in the mail next week. I have lots of used books downstairs, thrift store books. I'm at the point now that I have to figure out what I've shown in videos and what I have not shown in videos, because I haven't been putting books away. I've been showing them in videos, and then I've been leaving them out and not putting them away. So I have books I have not shown and books that I have shown all stacked together. So I got to figure all that out. But yeah, this book here I found at Goodwill. I collect his writings. I have at least 9 of his novels. And I didn't know he wrote this little memoir, Sun and Steel. And it says here on the back that it's worth $7, but it was published, looks like it was published in 1970. This is first paperback edition, 1980. There's one used copy of this on Amazon for $40. Now, I don't know if there's other copies available outside of Amazon, but I got this for $1. And so I've been reading it. It's a little memoir. He's a very interesting writer. I've always enjoyed reading his writings. Also, I collect the writings of this guy here, this Japanese writer. I have 4 or 5 of his novels. In the same time I found this novel by Mishma, I found a novel by him called The Martyrs. And I have other novels by him published by Grove Press. So I've been reading this. Yeah, it's reading the stories about the bombing of Hiroshima and Nakatawa. Was that? I can't pronounce it. But what people experience is really horrifying. Very horrifying to read the effects of being bombed by an atomic bomb and how people suffer. It's not light reading, but yeah, it just kind of blows your mind that, you know, we have enough nuclear weapons to annihilate ourselves. It's just insanity. But so I read this yesterday. Yeah, I've really been enjoying reading Glastonbury Romance, John Kuyper Powys. So yeah, I had a good time with our kids. We went out a couple of times. Just hung out. But I do recommend The Black Mass, Apocalyptic Religion and Death of Utopia by John Gray. So much of what he writes in here is just so right on about what's going on right now. Yeah, my wife and I will get back into reading the New Testament. We're going into 1 Corinthians and probably do that tomorrow morning. But tomorrow morning my wife meets a girlfriend, an old girlfriend from her childhood friend for breakfast. And I thought about going to Finville Warehouse Used Bookstore, but I don't know. We'll get back to reading The Valley of Vision. Yeah, you know Herman Bavinck, I told you I have his 4-volume Dogmatics that's right up here. I'll show you. So yeah, you have Bavinck's Reformed Dogmatics. And then you have Volume 2, God and Creation, Reformed Dogmatics by Bavinck. Then you have Volume 3, Sin and Salvation in Christ, Volume 3, Reformed Dogmatics by Bavinck. This is all translated out of the Dutch. And then you have Volume 4, Holy Spirit, Church and New Creation by Herman Bavinck. Yeah, I really highly recommend Herman Bavinck, his writings, his dogmatics, his Christian ethics. You can't go wrong reading Herman Bavinck. But this is a little book he wrote on Christian Worldview. Just been translated out of the Dutch by Nathaniel Gray Stato, James Ingleton, and Corey C. Bach. Christian Worldview by Herman Bavinck. Well, this is going on 20 minutes. I just want to give a Friday Reads what I'm reading. I've been really come to the end of our time with our children and our grandchildren, and it's a Friday evening. This afternoon I mowed the lawn and pulled weeds, and it was 80 something degrees outside. Tomorrow's a Saturday. And yeah, life just keeps going by. So I hope you had a good 4th of July, celebrating war, patriotism, or the shedding of blood for the freedoms of our country so that we can go out and vote for Trump. So yeah, not much else. So yeah, so I'll sign off. Thank you for the new subscribers. Thank you for the questions and the comments and the thumbs up, and just pray you have a good reading weekend. And yeah, I don't know what I'll do next, a book tour, a shelf tour, or show you the used books, or I don't know what I'll do. But anyway, I'll sign off. And yeah, until next time, bye.